his mother is drug addict and negligent mother. The beauty of that story is that he had great clarity about where his origin, and there was no doubt about it. Most families have secrets. If your secrets are out, people I've come across in my life have often had abusive situations at home that were not clearly documented, and there was still a person that was making an effort to, on the other side, for example, a mother may have abused and neglected the child, but never really owned up to it in their life and continued to have a relationship that may have not been completely healthy, but was making an effort to redeem themselves. And whether they did or not is another matter. But the fact is that people live in this gray area of not being able to talk about things because of their relationships with some of the people that have harmed them in their life. And it's quite a quandary to value your life and yourself and your clarity and your sanity and your psychic cleanliness, to put that person in that category of being the bad person and label them and talk to people about it, or actually whatever it takes, whether you have to talk to people about it or write about it or somehow get clear about it with that other person. And maybe that other person is not ready to own up to it. Well, that leaves a lot of us in this gray area of not really being able to claim our ground in our lives. If you're fortunate, maybe you were raped by a priest or some famous person that has been outed, or a doctor like those gymnasts that's been outed, and suddenly the transparency of social media and the new kind of trend in the social life, and at least in America, to out these abusers and villains for who they have been, is highly beneficial to the story and your wholeness going forward. But if you try to walk forward from complex PTSD without that clarity, without the fullness of knowing the situation that you came from, then you're going to face some real difficulties. You have to find a way to get really clear about your position versus the position of those who were in your early environment and their responsibility to care, provide safety, and give you the attention that you needed as an early in your early childhood. And if with that attention comes a greater fullness and a connectedness and an acceptance of who you really are. And so many of us spend our lives in these gray areas of conforming to get by for survival with the norms that are out there in society versus the powerful and connected state of being at one with who you really are uniquely, whether or not it's conformed in the choices that were made, that really kind of set you up for the life that you're living. And those of us that face trauma in our lives, that suddenly get everything's shaken and it falls apart, then you do have a chance from that state, almost like Humpty Dumpty that fell off the wall and has to put himself back together again. That process of putting yourself back together again gives you the opportunity to face those issues in your life and to put yourself back together again with more, I want to say, use the word authenticity, but I'm hesitant because I think that word is misused and misunderstood. And I don't want to get caught up in vocabulary terms, because to survive in this world today, in 2024, you're going to have to tune into some means of survival that is related to your community, your family, the people that are near you. Even if you go out and you find new people to be, in your intimate circle and in your community, and even create a new surrogate family for yourself. There's a set of beliefs and rules that are part of that system that you're whether it's new or old, are going to have to conform to, that may hopefully be in concert with your organic nature if you've tapped into that. But that's a challenge. So I'm not wondering here. I'm being very, very direct about being clear about where you're starting from with the conditioning that you had in your early childhood. And I think it's important to be very black and white about what happened, about what you got, and maybe what you feel like you needed in your life. And then how you heal. Wow, that's a much bigger process that's related to, your spirit, your intelligence, the circumstances that you're coming from, and the circumstances that you're facing now. And that's where, well, I enjoy working with people through those processes. But that's something that, there's no one lecture or one sermon that's going to give you, a full clarity about that. But the clearer you are about where you're coming from, and the more you let that sink in and accept it fully, and I'm not talking about acting out on it, like calling people up and telling them this or that. I'm talking about owning it yourself and accepting what happened, and allowing your system, your body and your soul, your psyche, your spirit, to accept that. And that's the seed that can help move you forward. So I hope that helps. That just came to light as listening to this J.D. Vance talk about his background and his story coming from Appalachia with a dysfunctional family, a very difficult situation. But I think the to repeat myself, the beauty of that story is that he had great clarity about where his origin, and there was no doubt about it. And so if you are feeling like you're suffering from some complex PTSD from some early childhood issues that may involve some of the people that were around you when you were maybe an infant or in early childhood, and you know that there's some incidents there, the clearer you can get about those, the better. And I'm not trying to set you up for being a famous author or storyteller or orator or famous anything. I think the important thing is to find where that and get clear on where that incident or incidents or the circumstances of around your childhood, and get real clear about where that is. Allow yourself to feel that, breathe into that, and examine that for a period of time. Be very quiet with it and be very gentle with yourself. And I wouldn't allow it to be entertainment for a therapist or a counselor, or be something that you form a new relationship around. My experience is to work with that alone, with some exceptions. I think there may be some people that may be around that would be supportive of that process without necessarily having an end game in mind for you. And those are the kind of relationships I think you need to escape the perils of healing during your early process and around coming out of a complex PTSD situation. Hope that helps. Good luck.